The sound of conflict is not always a gunshot. Sometimes it's the quiet stroke of a pen on a presidential order. Last month, that sound echoed across North America, signaling a new, high-stakes trade showdown. Former President Donald Trump, back in the White House, has imposed steep tariffs on Canadian copper, shaking the global economy. This move tests the foundation of one of the world's oldest and most stable trading partnerships. The world is watching closely, not just because of metal, but because of alliances, jobs, and the future of international cooperation. Copper is the lifeblood of modern infrastructure and technology. By targeting this essential commodity, the Trump administration has struck a nerve. The decision has ignited fierce debate and swift retaliation. Canada, long a steadfast ally, has promised to hit back hard. This story matters because it affects the price of everything from your home wiring to your smartphone. In Washington, officials speak of national security and fair trade, arguing for protection of domestic industries. In Ottawa, the language is one of betrayal and economic sovereignty. Canadian leaders feel blindsided and are crafting a response to inflict maximum political and economic pain. This is more than a dispute over tariffs. It's a clash of ideologies and a test of wills. The story will unfold in boardrooms, on factory floors, and at kitchen tables. Global supply chains are being redrawn in real time. Workers' livelihoods hang in the balance. The stakes are high. The outcome of this copper conflict could redefine U.S. Canada relations for generations. The precedent set here may shape how global powers navigate trade in the 21st century. To grasp today's crisis, we must look to the past. The U.S. and Canada share more than a border. They share a deeply intertwined economic history, with copper at its core. For over a century, Canadian mines have supplied American industries, fueling manufacturing and supporting jobs in both countries. This relationship was built on trust, governed by trade agreements like the USMCA, designed to prevent tariff wars. Canadian copper became a critical component of North American industry, relied upon by automakers, construction firms, and tech companies. The U.S. is a massive copper consumer, but its own production can't meet demand. Canada, a major producer, found a perfect customer next door. This seamless trade created a unique dependency. Few imagined it could be threatened by politics. The imposition of tariffs is not just a policy change, it's a break with a century of precedent. For businesses built on cross-border trade, the move feels like an earthquake, shaking the foundations of trust. The reliability of a partnership once considered unbreakable is now in question. On July 15, 2025, the Trump administration announced a 25% tariff on Canadian copper, citing national security under Section 232 of the Trade Expansion Act. The claim over-reliance on foreign copper, even from Canada, makes the U.S. vulnerable. But many analysts see this as a strategic move, not just a security concern. The timing coincides with upcoming USMCA review negotiations. Some say the tariffs are leverage for broader concessions. President Trump defended the move, promising to bring jobs back to American miners and manufacturers. The rhetoric plays well with his base, but alarms business leaders who fear economic protectionism will hurt consumers and manufacturers. Canada's response was swift. Prime Minister Trudeau called the tariffs unacceptable and absurd, given the country's deep security ties. Trudeau vowed to respond forcefully to protect Canadian workers and industry. The stage is set for a retaliatory battle, with both sides digging in. This is a high-risk strategy that puts the entire trade agreement in jeopardy. The dispute is no longer just about copper. It's about power, precedent, and the future of North American trade. Both nations are bracing for a protracted conflict. In the weeks since the announcement, the situation has escalated rapidly. Canada retaliated on August 1st, targeting American goods with dollar-for-dollar tariffs, focusing on products from key U.S. electoral states. The Canadian tariffs took effect August 10th, escalating the dispute. Businesses on both sides are scrambling to adapt, with costs rising and uncertainty mounting. In Washington, officials remain defiant, threatening further escalation if Canada doesn't back down. The prospect of a tit-for-tat trade war looms, risking broader economic fallout. Diplomatic channels remain open, but high-level talks are stalled. The business community is pleading for de-escalation, warning of disrupted supply chains and job losses. With each passing day, the economic damage grows. The economic fallout is immediate and widespread. In the U.S., industries dependent on copper, construction, face soaring costs, project delays, and higher prices for consumers. In the U.S., Industries dependent on copper, manufacturing, face soaring costs, project delays, and higher prices for consumers. In the U.S., industries dependent on copper, tech, face soaring costs, project delays, and higher prices for consumers. Inflation threatens to rise, slowing economic growth. In Canada, mining communities are hit hard as companies cut production and delay projects, threatening thousands of jobs. Retaliatory tariffs mean Canadian consumers pay more for American goods, raising the cost of living. Both nations are feeling the pain. There are no winners in this trade war. The uncertainty is chilling investment and shaking confidence in the future. The longer the conflict drags on, the deeper the scars on both economies. This trade war is a political crucible for both President Trump and Prime Minister Trudeau. Trump uses the tariffs to project strength and fulfill America First promises, pleasing his base but angering business leaders and lawmakers from trade-dependent states. He must balance populist rhetoric with the broader economic interests of the nation. Trudeau faces pressure to stand firm against U.S. aggression. His political survival depends on defending Canadian interests. His swift retaliation has united Canadians, but he must also avoid a full-blown economic crisis. Internationally, allies watch with concern, seeing the dispute as a sign of American unpredictability. The conflict could encourage new trading blocs less reliant on the U.S. For both leaders, the stakes are enormous. Their legacies and the future of North American trade hang in the balance. How they resolve this crisis will shape the continent for years to come. Beyond politics, the trade war is hitting real people. In Sudbury, Ontario, copper miner David Chen faces uncertainty for the first time in his career as his company considers cutting shifts. "My family's always worked these mines. Now I don't know what's next," he says. Local businesses fear a domino effect. If miners lose income, the whole community suffers. In Phoenix, Arizona, Maria Flores, an electrical contractor, is losing money as copper wire prices soar. "I have to raise my quotes, but I'm afraid I'll lose business," she explains. Small businesses are squeezed hardest, struggling to absorb costs or pass them on. Construction sites in the U.S. face delays and shortages, sending workers home. "We're all on the same team, aren't we? Americans and Canadians?" asks one frustrated foreman. The tariffs are more than numbers. They're disrupting lives and livelihoods. Communities on both sides of the border are feeling the strain. The longer the dispute lasts, the more families and businesses will be caught in the crossfire. The human cost is mounting, even as politicians debate. This is the real price of a trade war. Experts warn the tariffs are based on shaky logic and could cause lasting harm. Dr. Emily Vance, trade economist, calls the national security argument exceptionally weak. Canada is a close ally, not a threat. The unpredictability of sudden tariffs poisons business investment and slows growth. Once trust is broken, it's hard to rebuild. Dr. Robert Morrison, a Canada-U.S. relations specialist, says this is a fundamental test of the partnership. Both leaders risk becoming trapped by their own tough rhetoric, making compromise politically difficult. The only way out may be quiet back-channel diplomacy, finding an off-ramp before the damage is irreversible. Options include a joint commission or addressing the issue in the upcoming USMCA review, but it requires political will to step back from the brink. Right now, it's a high-stakes game of chicken, with the North American economy in the middle. The world is watching to see who blinks first. The outcome will set the tone for future trade disputes. The next move is critical. We stand at a crossroads in U.S. Canada relations. A trade war over copper threatens to sever the economic ties that have powered the continent for a century. The tariffs are causing pain, creating tension, and hurting real people on both sides. This is not a path to prosperity. It's a recipe for mutual harm. Leaders in Washington and Ottawa must step back from the brink and prioritize a swift, negotiated resolution. The USMCA review offers a venue for resolving disputes. Let's use it, not bypass it. This story affects everyone: your job, your community, your cost of living. Stay informed, speak up, and demand reasoned solutions from your leaders. The future of the U.S.-Canada partnership depends on dialogue, not division. The time for resolution is now.